Hello, everybody. Austin here. Let's see if we can get this going. All right, it looks like we are now live, and I want to thank you all for your patience as I was getting things organized and set up here on my end this evening. Normally, we're going to start on 7 p.m. Eastern time. This evening, we're a little bit late, but better late than never, right? So I'm really excited to tell you guys about the topic of tonight because it's something that is actually really challenging for a lot of people, but doesn't have to be. And so let's just jump into it. But first, I want to tell you about how you can get your book, because getting the book is really important. You don't have to have it to follow along with these study group sessions, but it's what we're talking about is like the tip of the iceberg, and the book is the rest of the iceberg under the ocean, right? So it really is in your best interest to get it. It's not that expensive, and it's going to make all of this that much more valuable. And so let's move on. Creating your mass movement. In Expert Secrets, Russell talks about how a movement has 3 parts. And this came from his study of historic leaders. He looked into leaders, like all kinds of leaders from history. He looked into Jesus. He looked into Hitler. He looked into Abraham Lincoln. And there were 3 commonalities that he found. One of them being that each leader had a movement with a charismatic leader at the head. So somebody that everybody looked up to and kind of took their cues from. Although maybe their style was a little bit different, they had some sort of a figurehead. All right. Number 2 was a cause. There's always an important cause. Think about in the United States politics, the best leaders in our country have always had a cause that their followers can rally around, right? And for Donald Trump, it was "Make America Great Again." That was his message, and that's something that everybody can rally around and understand. And that leads into the 3rd part, is a new opportunity, right? That "Make America Great Again" message, it was so attractive because it offered people a hopeful vision of the future. And at the same time, it was powerful because it disparaged the past a little bit, or the present, saying, if you don't like what's going on right now, we're going to change things. And it was a catchy phrase, so it worked. So that's one example, but there are tons of other ways. But basically, it all comes down to a charismatic leader presenting a cause that their followers can rally around with a vision of the future that's compelling, that makes people want to go in that direction. Now, we can use these lessons as entrepreneurs online, and we're building our businesses. We can position ourselves as leaders. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would I want to do that if I just want to sell some stuff? And that's a good question. If your goal is to, for example, sell sunglasses on Amazon, then you don't need to position yourself as a leader, because, well, when's the last time you bought something on Amazon and cared even a little bit about who the seller was? Right? Most people don't even notice, right? You buy it on Amazon and that's it. Actually, what a lot of people don't realize is that Amazon is a platform that supports probably thousands of individual sellers. We just don't know it because of the way the page is organized, right? So if your goal is to sell on a platform like that, then you probably don't need to position yourself as a leader. But if your goal is to create a brand for yourself and create your own movement, your own project, then what are you going to do to differentiate yourself from all of the other people doing something similar? You have to stand out. You have to create a cause. You have to create a vision that your unique product is going to bring people towards. Right? That's what a charismatic leader does. And that's why it's so important for most people, especially the people that are building information products, which is what this book really focuses on. The Expert Secrets focuses on people who want to sell themselves as an expert that has information products that will help people, right? we're helping people in a little bit different way than by giving them sunglasses. We're helping people by teaching them how to do something, right? So it's a more personal connection, and that requires a more personal way of presenting yourself and the information. All right. So charismatic leader, also called the attractive character. On that image there on the right-hand side of the screen, I just Googled charismatic leader, and that was one of the images that came up. I thought that was pretty good. You can see that person is probably ready to make a strong presentation about something that they care about. On the left, well, that might be something, if you Google attractive character, you might come up with that picture. Well, maybe not. That's a picture of me with my leadership face on. I think Panama hat really projects leadership. I don't know about you. But okay, so let's focus in here. Being a leader, to start with, you can't just lead from no experience and no expertise. You have to have the foundation of personal experience first. So first you have to learn how to do something yourself, and then you have to develop the ability to share what you've learned with others. And when you've done those two things, you've become an expert. It's as simple as that. So it starts with a desire for personal growth, where you personally have a motivation to learn how to do something, and then it flows naturally into contributing to the growth of other people. And that's how you become an expert. That's how you develop yourself. Because at some point, if you're working on something by yourself, you plateau in your ability until you start to help other people to learn it. Anybody who's worked in education of any kind, or probably people who have had kids, you know that when you're teaching something to somebody else, you get presented with all kinds of different ideas about that thing that you thought you knew inside and out. Another person is going to look at it differently and ask questions that you never even considered that you're going to have to figure out a way to answer. So by teaching people, we ourselves learn also. So you take that plateau and then you continue going up again. So anything that you're an expert in already, you're going to plateau, and you won't be able to really progress until you start to teach other people. It's a natural part of learning. So think about it for yourself. What are you an expert in? What are some things that you are good at, that you know a lot about, or maybe a little bit about, but more than most people? Think about that, and we're going to do an activity here. Okay, this is a practice scenario. Imagine that you need to give a 60-minute presentation to a room of 100 people tomorrow. And here's your headline. This is like in the newspaper. Okay, tomorrow evening, insert your name, you will be presenting a special class on, enter your area of expertise, at Yale University. It's open up to the public, but seating is limited. So think for yourself, get a piece of paper and make a list of 10 things that you can do that you would be prepared to present for 60 minutes tomorrow if you had to. What would you put on that list? I guarantee you can come up with 10 things. It could be, and this is just a brainstorm, right? So there are no wrong answers. The idea is to start thinking. So for me, I might put, let's see, Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I would put rock climbing. I would put, I could put expert secrets. I could definitely do a 60-minute presentation on expert secrets. I could do a 60-minute presentation on running. I could do a 60-minute presentation on yerba mate. I could do one on the history of Panera bread, maybe. The point is to start brainstorming. Think about areas that you are able to present on, areas of expertise that you have, and think about yourself not as just an individual who happens to know about this thing. Think about yourself as an expert who has something valuable to provide, because believe it or not, there are people out there who want to know what you are already good at. And there are some of those people who would be willing to pay you for that knowledge. And just because of the power of the internet, I would bet that just about anything you can come up with, there's a community of people out there who will be interested in learning from you. You just have to look hard enough to find it, right? Depends on how focused in you want to get. But for any special interest, there's a community out there that's organized on the internet about it. And in the book, Russell says, I put a quote from him at the bottom because it's relevant to this. Know that the biggest hurdle that you're likely to face is being okay with positioning yourself as an expert. And that's an important point because a lot of us are uncomfortable going on to the internet or going in front of other people and presenting themselves as an expert and as knowledgeable about something and giving other people advice and telling other people how to do something. It could be because we're modest. It could be because we lack confidence or just embarrassed, there are a lot of different reasons, right? But when it comes to this business model of creating an information product and positioning yourself as an expert, it's vital to be able to speak with expertise on something, knowing that there are probably people out there who know as much or more than you do, and that's okay. Those are people you can learn from. All right. But the fact is that the world needs leaders, and you listening to this can be a leader. You have a valuable skill set. You have a unique perspective, and it would be a tragedy if the world was deprived of your expertise. Why not use the internet as a platform to provide this service to the world? Think about it like a superpower, right? What if Superman just felt awkward and embarrassed every time he used his powers because it set him apart from everybody else, so he just didn't use them? What a shame that would have been, right? So when you have something special, I would argue that it is your duty to share that with the world. It's part of how we progress as a species, right? We find things that are special and important, and we share them with other people so these ideas can continue to grow. And that's what this all comes down to for me. For me, and the reason that I'm doing this class, this study on this book, is because I personally think that it's so powerful and so useful that if I didn't do everything that I could to share it with the world, then I would be missing an opportunity to help other people. And whatever you decide to do with your business, your side hustle, your micro business, whatever you call it, whatever you decide to do with yours, whatever direction you want to go, know that you have a mission to bring your unique skills to help other people. Use that as motivation and use it as inspiration as you go forward. And know that you don't have to be the next Albert Einstein in your field or the next. Can you recognize the person on the right? That's actually it's one of my favorite pictures. I came across it recently. That is Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain, in the laboratory of Nikola Tesla. He's doing something with some electricity, it looks like. And I assume that's Tesla in the background. What a cool picture, huh? But the idea is that you don't have to be a brilliant inventor or a genius mathematician or a once-in-a-lifetime author to provide something valuable to the community. If you happen to be really good at tree trimming, and a lot of people in your town need trees to be trimmed, then you didn't help them, then your community would suffer because of a lack of your tree trimming expertise. It could be anything, right? You have a mission to bring that to the world, or it's just to your community or to your neighborhood. So what kind of leader are you? What kind of character will you create? We all have our own unique motivation and inner drive to be a leader. And it's important that when we present ourselves, we can do it in a way that's authentic to ourselves so that it feels natural, because people can smell bullshit a mile away, right? So it's in everybody's best interest, if you don't try to put on a show or put on a mask, but that you be yourself, but also present yourself in a way that is attractive to other people, right? I'm not going to do a Facebook Live with myself sitting on the toilet in the bathroom, because that wouldn't be attractive to anybody. Oof, that would. We'll just move on from that comment. So in Expert Secrets, Russell has some different types of leaders as suggestions for how you might think about yourself. So the first one is the born leader. And now this isn't to say that some people are born leaders. I don't believe that personally. I think that nobody is a born leader. It's a set of skills that you learn throughout life. And some people learn them at such an early age that it seems like they were born leaders. But I would argue for hours against the idea that there are some people that are inherently good at leadership. I think there are skills and anybody can learn them. All right. So, but the born leader in this context is the way you present yourself. All right. So it's the natural leader. It's like John F. Kennedy. It was so natural and charismatic. He was, I would say, he projected the image of a born leader. The adventurer or crusader. This is a leader who talks about their topic with so much excitement that it is compelling to other people. Think Steve Irwin, right? Steve Irwin went around the world and he did things that other people would have been afraid to do, but he did it because he believed so much in conservation that he wanted to show up people the value of animals and nature so that they would value them too, right? So the adventurer does things and then tells other people about it. The reporter or the evangelist. This is a leader who would present themselves as someone who has done exhaustive research on a topic, and they're here to let you know why that topic is so important. So they a little bit more detail oriented, but also very passionate about their cause. And they want to bring other people around to it because they've done so much research. The reluctant hero. This one is one that I tend to lean a little bit more towards, although I also have some adventurer in me. The reluctant hero is somebody who might say, who might not feel like a natural leader, who might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but they're coming forward anyway because they saw that there was a vacuum that needed to be filled, and they were uniquely qualified to fill it. So they're stepping forward not as somebody who needs to be recognized for the notoriety, but who wants to provide a service because they see that they have the qualifications to help other people. Those are just some points to get you started. There's obviously overlap, and you might find your own point 5, 6, 7. But just the idea that to start thinking that leadership is something that is learned and developed, and you can present yourself in a certain way that is authentic to you, right? Think about, we're not going to get a lot into this tonight because I don't want to go on for hours and hours. There's a lot to talk about here. But if you think about the hero's journey, and that the classic framework for so many stories, the hero's journey describes a little bit more about the leadership styles and how you can tell your story that's consistent with your leadership character that you create, right? Well, I think we'll talk about that on a different evening, not tonight, but just to know that that's part of the picture also. Okay, Russell also has some rules when you're presenting yourself as an expert and a leader. So rule number one is walk your talk. That means if you're going to be an expert in the area of health and fitness, then you sure as heck better be living a healthy lifestyle and practicing fitness and stuff. Otherwise, people aren't going to buy in to what you're saying. Unwavering certainty. A politician won't last long if their constituents don't believe that the politician is really sure about what they're saying. If a politician goes into a debate and they're not really sure about what they're saying, or even if they give off the vibe that they're not really sure about what they're saying, then they're going to lose the debate. And it's the same in what we're doing here in our charismatic leaders. If you aren't 100% sure that your solution is the solution, then people aren't going to listen to you. They're going to go to somebody who is certain, because that's where they want to spend their money. Rule number 3, don't be boring. People want to be entertained. That's it. You know, you could say it's sad but true, but it's just a fact. People spend all their day at work or at school. They are tired. There are a lot of things calling their attention. If you're online, especially, there are a lot of things pulling people's attention away. If you aren't entertaining, if you don't have the ability to engage people's imagination, then they're going to tune out and go do something else, and they're not going to stick with you. So don't be boring. Rule number 4, understand how to use persuasion. Now, this is a bigger topic that we'll get into in future evening chats, but as a charismatic leader, know how to use persuasion. That doesn't mean trying to convince somebody of something that they don't believe or are uncomfortable with. Persuasion in this sense means, as a leader, you should be able to help people get over any internal conflict that they have, or that is preventing them from growing. For example, here's a silly example. A kid who doesn't want to eat their broccoli, right? A parent really shouldn't just say, okay, well, you don't want to eat your broccoli, then don't eat it, that's fine. Then never eat your broccoli. You know, the kid's never going to eat their broccoli, but we know that that's healthy for them. They need to eat that broccoli. So a parent will use appropriate persuasive technique to encourage the kid to eat the broccoli. And kind of in that way, as a leader of a movement, know when the right time is to use persuasion to help your followers to grow towards the future that you're promising them, right? Number 5, you need to genuinely care. This is a people business. This is all about helping people. If you don't genuinely care about the people that you're helping and about the topic that you're investing your time in, then people are going to notice that, and they're not going to stick with you, and you're not going to stick with it either. Because the fact is it takes a lot of time and a lot of focus and a lot of sacrifice to make a project like this work, and the payoff is immense and worth it. But if you don't care, then you're never going to get there. Rule number 6, offer value from their perceived relationship with you. Now, this is an interesting point, and it's so important, because one of the things, if you spend enough time online researching how to run an online business, people will say, and it's true, they'll say, always be providing value. At any level of an interaction with somebody, provide them maximum value for that level of the relationship. If somebody signs up, for example, for your email list, and you're going to send them emails regularly, provide them as much value as you possibly can in the emails. And if they decide to go to your website and watch some videos, make those videos the most valuable videos you can possibly have on your website. And if that person decides to purchase your information product, whatever that happens to be, make that the very best product you possibly can, and the most valuable. And it doesn't necessarily have to be super polished and professional looking, but it has to be really, really valuable. And that's really important. And some things that some people lose sight of when they have a blog, for example, is everybody that visits that blog has a relationship with you, whether you ever know their name or not. They know you, they know your name. It's kind of like a movie star. If you like Hugh Jackman's walking down the street and everybody's stopping. Oh, Hugh Jackman, it's Wolverine. Oh my gosh. He doesn't know these people, but those people have a perceived relationship with him because of his movie roles, right? So it's the same with an online business. Your voice, your writing, your face is out there. Everybody that interacts with that content has that relationship with you, so give them value. Okay, that's it, guys. That's what I have for you for tonight. Let me jump out of this window real quick and make sure see if there are any questions up here. Looks like no questions this evening. Okay, that's fine. So that means I'm going to give my little spiel. Get your copy of Expert Secrets now. I started the presentation with it, and I'm going to end it because it's super important to get the most value, and we were just talking about value, out of this study group. If you want to start a side hustle business, build a micro business, there are a lot of different names for it. Let's call it a micro business right now. If you want to build a micro business online around an expert business model, if you want to position yourself as an expert and create an information product, you need this book. This is what will be your blueprint for getting there and for having success. There are a lot of things that you can do, and there are a lot of ways you can waste your time, but getting this book is not one of them. I guarantee, and in fact, I'm so confident of that. I'm going to make the same offer that that my favorite podcaster made when I bought the book, and he was the reason that I bought it. If you get the book and you find out that you don't like it and it doesn't provide value to you, then send me an email and let me know, and I will figure out a way to make it right. And I'm that confident in this book. So go out and get it. You can get your free copy at studentloanavengers.com. And all you do is click on the link there on the main page, and it'll take you to Russell's link where you'll download what you won't download anything. You'll make your order right there on the page, and you pay for shipping, but the book itself is free, and it's really easy. And that's it, guys. So I hope you got a lot of value out of this session this evening. I was really looking forward to it, and I enjoyed it a lot. And next time we're going to talk more about this idea of leadership and creating your mass movements. And there's so much more to say, and we're going to do some more exercises. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be authentic. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I know I told you I was going to end it here, but I'll just end it on this note. Authenticity on the internet is so important, because without it, we have this disconnect, and it's almost dehumanizing. But if we can be our authentic selves and speak with people plainly and as one person to another, then we can benefit from the relationship and we can thrive. And that's what this is all about. It's about helping people to thrive. And so I want to thank you for listening, and I hope that you tune in next time to the Expert Secrets study group. And until then, have a great evening.